Right, so two Irishmen, a Welshman, and a Cypriot do a podcast. It's called Shoot the Fence. Welcome. I'm Stel. I've got Steve, aka Steve McCarthy, Steve Shaw. Steve stepped down as head coach of a club. I've got Rhodri Giggs, and I have Simon Cox, newly retired. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
Very good, very good. Rod, you're in the studio, mate.
Yeah, I managed to get here today, yeah.
Oh,
It's only this second or third time I've used it.
how long have you had it?
About 6 weeks. Still need to put stuff in it. It's still bare and empty. So
Do you know what? For some reason, to your left, there's a little box on the wall. Is that like a first aid box or like a?
that's like
Put a pound in the meter and
you know the main switches for the electric
Oh, a fuse box.
for this finger, yeah.
Okay, it's all right. This is independent.
Yeah.
Lovely. You got a port back there. You got, what is it? You've got plugs right behind you.
Yeah, it's a built studio, so it's a sound studio.
I like it, man. I like it. You need to get soundproof though.
What?
Is it soundproof?
Yeah, it's that's what it's built for. It's soundproof, yeah.
Well, then I'm just asking.
Actually,
He doesn't know that's a fuse box.
There's a few more outside, and when I come up, you can hear the boom, 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 boom. As soon as you shut the door, you can't hear it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful. Simon, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good. You loving life back in the UK after your excursions in Australia?
Bit cold now. It was when I left there. Listen, it was the reason I came back was my daughter was born. So it's definitely worth coming home for.
And Kenny Miller's out there, isn't he? Western Sydney Wanderers, yeah.
Yeah, I think he is. I know he was when I was there. I'm not sure if he's left to come home. I know his wife's back in Scotland, so I'm not sure whether he got the tug as well to come back or he's doing the old long distance thing. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Oh, let's see.
He'll pop up sooner or later somewhere.
Definitely. So what you've done your coaching badges, yeah, and you're looking for a coaching role at the moment. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I've been back since middle of May. So when just before I left there, I completed my A license. And yeah, I came back and I thought, I'll spend a few months of just sort of sounding people out to see if there's any sort of coaching roles, playing roles, player coaching roles, whatever it might be. But sort of nothing really materialized, mate, to be honest. It just got to a point where I was happy being at home with the family and then decided to call it a day. And now it's I've got my own little one-on-one small groups coaching gig going on, which is sort of starting to get a bit busy because of like half terms coming up and stuff like that. So that's good. And then ultimately the aim is to get into a club and do some coaching.
The thing is, when you got someone such as yourself with a vast array of experience, you played international level, you played, Premier League, Championship, etc. abroad. Like it must be absolutely baffling for you to think like, how is it literally impossible for me to find a job? Not that I'm saying that you're entitled to it because of what you've done, but you've got that experience here. You'd think that clubs at any kind of level would want someone such as yourself there.
Well, I mean, I tried to help clubs out, obviously with the COVID, the pandemic and everything else, the way that sort of the clubs were hit financially. I tried to help out a little bit by saying, I'll come in and play, 15 games a season, but I'll do a lot of coaching potentially just with the strikers or whatever. So try and do a dual role. Mate, no one was interested at all. And then it got to a point where you sort of phone all your contacts in your phone book, lads and that you've played with, played against, managers that you've played for, that sort of thing. And everyone says, I'll do what I can. But do they really? Do you know what I mean? Like it sometimes you sort of look at it and think, oh yeah, they put the phone down or they read the message and they say, oh yeah, we'll help you out as much as we can. But then as soon as that phone call or text is done, they then go into their head of recruitment and going, oh, you need to bring him in or he'd be a really good asset to the football club for this reason and this reason. Sometimes you just sort of, I hope to get it off my own back, and it's literally scouring the job sites of all football clubs and just trying to get in and be a bit lucky, really.
Steve, this mustn't fill you with much confidence either, really.
Do you know what? I've had a few opportunities or offers that I'm like in the men's game, and this is step 6 in non-league, so all voluntary. What I'm finding, it is literally who you know, and it's, I say elements of arse kissing, but you have to say the right things to the right people for the opportunities to come up. And I've burnt a few bridges in the past because I tell people, I've done it on occasions where I've told them exactly what I thought. People don't want to hear that. I generally, at one club, I said, I'm leaving because you're too focused on social media. You've got no recruitment. You've got no sort of progression for players. You're not going to develop anything. I've been blacklisted from that club. But on the plus side, they've only won like 2 games in the last 3 years. So. I'm always right, but yeah.
You did some of that witchcraft on them, didn't you? You did some juju, you know?
Yeah. I put the spells on. The only way they can get rid of it, that's to go to every corner of the pitch and do a little sacrifice.
Sacrifice a goat or something like that, yeah? Lovely. All right, well, I'll tell you what, let's talk about that Premier League. And it's been an eventful weekend. I think Mo Salah is on a one-man crusade to become Ballon d'Or winner, to score the greatest ever goal. And Liverpool absolutely walloped Watford. But before we talk about Liverpool, Watford brought in Claudio Ranieri, who seems to find work all the time. Now, this is the guy, I'm not going to lie to you. When he got the Leicester job, I kind of scoffed at it because he did such a terrible job with the Greek national team. But to be fair, the Greek national team are pretty shit. So I ended up with egg on my face. He ended up winning the league with Leicester. I don't think he's going to be doing the same thing with Watford, though, is he?
No, but they've got the Italian connection, haven't they, in the board? So, like, with all their owners, it was kind of like
jobs for the boys, eh?
Yeah, one for the lads. Keep it in house. But to be fair, I think he'll be in that role, and then it wouldn't surprise you in 6 months' time that he'll get the sack. That would just be, that's the way that Watford do their business. And if it's not going well, he won't last too long, regardless of how well he's doing.
My money is on December. I don't think he's going to last 6 months.
Surely you've got to at least give him January, surely.
Well, I don't know. We've seen managers last less, haven't we? Wasn't it De Boer lasted like 7 weeks or something at Palace?
30 days, I think.
30 days.
Is that the worst manager to ever manage in the Premier League in results business or something like that?
Probably, yeah. Oops. He ended up getting a job at the Dutch national team, didn't he, afterwards?
Yeah, then he went over to the MLS as well.
Oh, Atlanta, yeah. He won the MLS. Yeah, they won MLS, didn't they, under Tata Martino? And then he came in and, yeah, anyway. So let's talk about Mo Salah then, Simon. It's almost as if, like I said, he's a man possessed, isn't he? He wants to just completely rip the Premier League apart, and this is what he's doing. But we've seen this from him before, so I'm not surprised. But he looks like he's leveled up this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, his stats are ridiculous. Every season they seem to get better and better. I think the one thing that really surprises me with him is the amount of games he plays, to the amount of injuries he gets. He never gets injured. He never misses games. He obviously goes away with Egypt as well, comes back, plays the next game for Liverpool, no doubt scores a goal or 2 goals. And it's just ridiculous. I think this season more so, and sort of towards the end of last season, you sort of started to see him being a bit more of a team player. Obviously, with the Mane goal on Saturday, I mean, it's an exquisite pass outside the old left chucker. I mean, it's a great little pass, and then obviously to get his goal as well, which is, I mean, the feet. He should be on dancing on ice. I mean, it was scary. So I think he's being a bit more of a rounded player now, but his stats are still scary.
That's right. And Rod, Firmino grabbed the hat trick. A guy that apparently never scores. Oh, he's muted himself. See this state-of-the-art studio, and he can't even unmute himself.
But looking at his stats, he's scores 1 in 3. So plus the work rate, he's a team player, isn't it? The work rate just for the team as well, assists as well as the goals. Yeah, he just complements the other two so well. And that's why they're such a good trio.
the thing is, you say work rate, and a lot of people mention his, what he does off the ball and whatnot. But what is it that you've noticed about him that perhaps people don't really talk about? Because it just seems like a cliche for people to say, "Oh, he works really hard," but it's a given, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's people that can run around like idiots, so there's people that can do it wisely, and he's one of them that's cute. He does it, and he gets in good little spaces as well. He's just an all-round team player that you'd want in your team. Yes, you'd want him to score a little bit more goals, but 1 in 3, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's right. And Mr. Shaw, what can we say about Liverpool's defence this season? A lot of people have been talking about, Van Dijk, he's not going to be the same player, and yada, yada, yada. They seem to have got over that little speed hump at the beginning of the season when they were conceding goals left, right, and centre.
I actually think the Watford game is going to be a one-off for them to have a clean sheet. I think they are still going to struggle a little bit.
Controversial.
Well, the thing is, like Liverpool, when they go with the high-pressing game, and Rod's just jumping on the back of what Rod said about Firmino, his intelligent movement just to sort of unsettle the defence, to allow the wide forwards to sort of make the runs in between the fullbacks and the centre-backs into the half space. Like, it's exquisite, and it's so hard to quantify how good that is. But for all as good as they are in the final third, I do find like their midfield don't always get the turnovers that they necessarily need. And because the fullbacks both like to attack when they do have both Robinson and Trent fit, it is left with just a back two. I don't think the midfield is quite as balanced as it could be. I think that is in part for letting Curtis Jones develop, because he's come in and done fantastic. But I do think there is a little bit of unbalance in the midfield, and that's why their defence will still be overrun at times, especially in the wide areas, if they're not being covered by sort of the holding midfielder.
But they've got so many players available in the middle of the park. Surely they can get that balance, no?
They should do, but I don't know if Klopp's having to manage the team in terms of what players are getting minutes for fear of injuries. And like, I think Harvey Elliott's injury, that's obviously been a blow in terms of a midfield option. And what Simon was saying about Mo Salah, he seems to be like an exception to everyone else, or just doesn't seem to get injured at the minute. Whereas everyone else will run the risk of getting injured at some point or being out for 2 or 3 weeks. So from a coaching perspective, they're probably looking at, right, what's their load? How can we make sure that we limit the risk of injury? And he'll start chopping and changing the midfield. And I just don't think they've been that balanced. I think Thiago last year was a bit of a hindrance because his style was different and it didn't necessarily complement how Klopp played before. And I think, although absolutely fantastic result against Watford, I don't think they're going to have it that easy in the future games.
I think with Thiago, though, I think him keep getting injured doesn't help Liverpool at all. Because then you end up with people like Milner's obviously been a great player throughout the years, but ultimately he's getting on a little bit and he's filling in sometimes. But they brought in Thiago to sort of sit in that pivot role alongside probably Fabinho, and then obviously left Henderson to sort of be that sort of wider of a three in there. And now with Thiago keep getting injured, it doesn't really help. It doesn't help Liverpool at all. So that's obviously an issue that he's got to have a look at.
Because he's been playing like Minamino in centre midfield on a few occasions to try and balance it. And the fact that he won't use Oxlade-Chamberlain or doesn't seem to trust him anymore would suggest he's on his way out.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. There was talk of him going back to Arsenal, wasn't there? So.
Yeah.
Come on, surely you take him there, Steve. Come on. He gets Mrs. from Little Mix there. She could do the halftime swing song, halfway line.
No, come on. I'm loving Arsenal's choice in using WWE wrestlers' entrance music at halftime.
Blimey. Well, one more thing before we move on to a different game. What do you guys make of Wijnaldum leaving Liverpool? Because I think he was a vital player for them past couple of seasons, and he offers a lot more from an energetic standpoint, stamina and just that drive going forward than most of the midfielders.
Sorry, I'll jump in on this one. One of his friends came out on social media and said like his prime's behind him now. Like since he went to PSG, he doesn't look like the same player because he's been playing since he was 16. So his peak, he's on the downhill. But even if that's the case, he'd still be such a key part to Liverpool's style of play. Like the way that they got him playing towards the end before he left was sort of similar to that of how he played for the national team.
Who said that, Steve?
Do you know what? I'll try and find it on Twitter. It was
He had a decent Euros as well.
yeah. But it was,
it's just numbers as well with Liverpool. They're short of, that's the worry you have in winning the league. If they get a couple of injuries, where Chelsea or City, they've got depth and quality as well. So, but with losing Wijnaldum, he was a stalwart in their team. Yeah. He played every week, and now losing that. But just another option off the bench if Wijnaldum's playing, they've got Keita or Henderson or Fabinho.
I think they are limited with their style of midfielders now in terms of depth. And Wijnaldum was that sort of a hybrid of box to box, but also almost like a number 10 at times, especially when you saw him play for Holland.
Yeah, and like Simon says, when Thiago's getting injured, that's a big signing from it. They brought in, and he's not playing every week.
Yeah, I think the thing is though is that letting Wijnaldum go to PSG, they probably looked at it and thought, do you know what? We've got Curtis Jones in the wings, we've got Harvey Elliott, that we don't want to stop their growth. Obviously, you saw Harvey Elliott at the start of the season, unfortunately got injured. Curtis Jones played a lot last season, again, started playing again before he got injured. So the thing is, they couldn't have, if you took them all there, you got Harvey Elliott, you got Curtis Jones, you got Henderson, Keita, Thiago, Fabinho. Do you know what I mean? Then all of a sudden you've got 7, 8 or 9 midfield players in there. And only really, with the team that they play, only 3 can play. So you can't have 6 just sat there doing nothing. So probably Wijnaldum's thought, we brought in a couple, we're probably going to be producing the 2 young lads over him. So he's thinking, I'm free. I'll go and play with some other top team and try and win the Champions League with somebody else. And I think that was probably more in his thinking. He probably looked at it and thought, my game time's probably going to go down a lot more here.
They've probably looked on both sides as well. Liverpool have probably thought it's coming to the end of his contract. If we do sign him, it's going to be big money. Yeah. Do him with the young lads we've got.
And it would
he started Harvey Elliott and he looked really good at the start of the season. He's just unlucky he had a bad injury.
Yeah, because it would be a short-term contract. As I say, short-term contract, they wouldn't be trying to pin him down for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Go sell on, and it's kind of like how you look at what Arsenal ended up doing with Willian. They got him on big fees for a long contract, and we had to negotiate the free transfer as a result of it. Whereas I think Liverpool made the right decision in terms of, in any other scenario, you'd be there going, we've got 8 centre midfielders, we've got 2 young English players that are coming through the ranks. We want to give them game time. Wijnaldum's sort of maybe at his peak now, or we weren't going to get a resale on him. We can cut our losses and.
He's probably on a good wage there at PSG. Yeah. He's not gone to Cyprus. He's not gone to some pub league. What? So yeah, he's gone to a proper team. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for him. To be fair, I think.
Yeah,
Oh, he had that little fucking jab. All right, I remember that. Mental note, mate. All right, Rod. Let's talk about United then. I'm not going to repeat what you put in the. I'm not going to repeat what you put in the WhatsApp group. A 4-2 defeat against Leicester, and things were going well when Greenwood scored from like 25, 30 yards, beautiful finish, and then it just went to shit. Now we can blame the manager for not having a clue. We can blame Harry Maguire for 3 goals, in my opinion. But how do you evaluate this game, man?
Well, first of all, it's not Harry Maguire's fault. It's Simon will tell you, if you're a professional footballer and you're fit and you've just come back from injury, you want to play. It's down to your manager to say, are you ready to go? Yeah, I'm fit. I'm ready to play. You're not going to say, no, I don't want to play. You're going to say, yeah, I want to play, especially your old team.
I'm not blaming him for wanting to play.
No, but first of all, he's got that wrong. So there's nothing the manager's got wrong. But it's just Where do you want me to start with it?
Wherever you want, mate.
It's just, he's got it wrong with Harry Maguire. Pogba doesn't look the same play does for France. Greenwood's a massive issue with Ronaldo because Greenwood is Ronaldo 20 years ago. He's not done what pass the ball. He wants to shoot, wants to score goals. Ronaldo's giving it all this. Bruno's doing all this. That's a bad recipe. If that's starting with your two major players in the team are waving their arms about. And Greenwood doesn't seem to give a shit. He wants to score goals. He's exactly the same mentality as Ronaldo was when he was young. He never passed the ball. He wants to score goals. That's why he scored so many goals. So there's that issue, but he's got to solve. You've got to do that on the training pitch. It just looks like they're dead easy to defend against. Why Wan-Bissaka is tucked in is not further out on the byline, I don't know. It's just because it's easy to defend, and then the transitional play when they do win the ball to just dismiss three midfielders and just be on us attacking. It's frustrating.
I
Like
think
you said, we did start well.
Yeah, I think United are one of these teams that teams like Leicester, teams like Liverpool, teams like City will all look at United and go, "We get at these," because they're very disjointed as units, as midfield to defenders. Your centre forwards aren't really the ones who want to work hard, i.e., your Firminos and Manes and Salah's and stuff of this world. So I think I looked at the game and I just thought, like you said, Stel, that you've got Maguire for the first one. He's just like waiting for the ball. That's sloppy. Do you know what I mean? Like that's your club captain. That's someone you'd sort of look to and think, you've got to set the stall up for us as a team. He loses that. I mean, don't take away from the goal. The goal's like Tielemans' goal is unbelievable. Whether he's meaning to stick it there or not, who knows? Only he'll tell you that. But I think they just look a team of individuals, and that's not what Man United have been over the years. They've probably had one or two, your Cantonas and so on and so on. But they've been a hard team to play against United in previous years. It just seems at the minute they've just gone out and signed big players, got big personalities, but can't create a team from around that, and that's a big issue for the manager.
I was going to ask you sort of a twofold question with United. One, do you think they've got the recruitment right? Because Donny van de Beek, signing him, question marks over that, looking at how Sancho's been able to fit in or not fit in as the case may be, and even Ronaldo. And I'm not suggesting Ronaldo's not a good signing, but it leads into the second question of, have they got the tactics for it? Because
if you look at the signings, Sancho, do we really need a left midfielder? No, we've got Rashford, we've got Greenwood can play there, we've got Martial who can play there. So no. Do we need a centre forward? Well, yes. So Ronaldo's not a bad sign. Plus, he's Ronaldo. He scores goals for fun. If you play to his strengths, like Portugal do,
and that's sort of the second question about, because has Ollie sort of fitted the tactics to suit Ronaldo? Because Ronaldo now is not the Ronaldo that United once had. He's not the tricky winger, as you said. That's more Greenwood that wants to cut in, wants to drive forward, get those goals, and be selfish in that sense. Ronaldo's turned into I actually think one of the most clinical strikers in the box. If you get the ball into the box to him, he will get you goals without a shadow of a doubt. But they don't seem to be finding him in the final third.
But do you think Ronaldo was an Ollie signing?
Oh no, that was a clear sort of hierarchy going.
That's what I mean. So you're looking at it as the manager and going, well, you've just gone, because obviously no one seems to like the Glazers or Ed Woodward at the minute. So it's like what they've done, they've gone, do you know what? We'll make a sign-in that sort of gives us a bit of a reprieve for 6 months until January, and then we'll see what we can do in January, try and, let people go, bring people in, whatever it is. But what we'll do is we'll bring in a major sign-in, someone who's loved at the football club, just so they're off our backs for a little bit. And then
pacifying the fans, mate. Pacifying them.
That's what I mean. So it's not that's I sort of have a little bit of a
you feel bad for Ollie in that sense, because it's
I
upon him.
Yeah, because he probably didn't want him. Do you know what I mean? He looked at it and thought, I've got Cavani who can play up there.
Well,
He's
they play a
he
similar
works.
style now.
He works, but he works a lot harder.
Yeah.
So he's a focal point for United. It allows Greenwood to do his stuff. It allows Rashford to do his stuff. And it just sort of fit a little bit better with Cavani. But obviously, listen, I think if anybody in world football gets offered Ronaldo, I think you probably take him just because of his ratio of goals and what he brings, not just even on the pitch, off the pitch as well. So I think it's a tough one, that one, to be honest.
Because
the pieces are there for a good team. You've got quality players. You just need to figure out what system do you play. It's not working at the minute when the way they played against Leicester. It's just not. It's too many. You see Rashford walking sometimes. I see Pogba walking. I see Greenwood walking. Gary Neville was right what he's saying last night. You don't see any of these top teams, Salah, De Bruyne, all these top players for City or Liverpool. You don't never see them walking. They're always rushing to get the ball back or working hard for the team. Where United, you don't really see that, and it's only just crept on that. So I don't know where that's come from.
It's almost like you see the front three. If the ball goes past and they go, well, that's my job done. Like they've long balled it. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, I say long balled it, played it out the back.
To me, it don't like whether to stick or twist.
Yeah,
and it only takes one person to not do it, and that's it.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, like looking at United squad, do you think you've held on to a bit of dross too much, or you haven't been able to get rid of him? Because like there's the talk about Phil Jones not moving on.
Well, he's done a really good job of getting all the crap out from 2 or 3 years ago. Because 2 or 3 years ago, it was Paul, played like Fellaini. Yes, they're good
Vera,
football players,
Valencia,
but they're not, Manchester United players. Yes, I think Mata needs to be moved on. Dalot needed to be moved on. I think that was in the workings, but Ronaldo for spanner in that because I think Trippier was almost a done deal.
It was, wasn't it, Rod? Trippier.
So that would have been good for us on the right because yes, Wan-Bissaka is a good defender, but he crossed the ball like he's got flippers on. He can't cross the ball. He can't cross the ball.
Kieran Trippier would have been a massive signing in terms of getting that into the final third, whether it be crosses into Pogba or even just deliveries into the far post as well. Like,
this is the thing, though. This is what something that I really have a bit of a bugbear with United is that Man United were signing, Lindelof and Bailey and whatever, and I was looking at it thinking, Man United used to go out and buy the best players. All of a sudden, you're buying these people who probably no one's heard of before they come to United, or might have had a good season with somebody else. But why weren't they 2 or 3 years ago going out and buying Varane? 2 or 3 years ago, because then he would have then been the one who you stick in there, and you'd have got him with Harry Maguire, and you'd have gone, do you know what? That's our centre half pair, and that's going to grow for the next 5 to 7, 8 years. Then all of a sudden you get rid of a lot of that rubbish that they've had for a long time, and you've got a pair in then. It seems like United are always chopping and changing who they pair people with, and I think that's just poor recruitment. But then I don't think a lot of the senior lads have a lot of respect for Ollie. They might do as a player, but they don't do as a manager, and that's you said about all the top teams and the De Bruynes and Salah's and that their managers don't stand for people walking. Whereas it seems like if Ollie then started shouting at Ronaldo probably just tell him to shut his mouth.
It's almost
it's becoming a joke behind the scenes, though, man. It's becoming a joke behind the scenes. Like you got a manager who he's inept. He's inept. I'm sorry, he's inept.
He's not inept because he's done a good job since he's been there. But where we were to where we are, he's just inept at that elite level with the top managers. He's not an inept because what he's done for Man United was shit to watch. It was boring. The Van Gaal, Mourinho, he has changed that, got crap out and brought Man United players in. I just don't think he's got the capabilities, all the people around him, to get the best out of what he's got because he's not experienced enough. these managers that he's going against, they've been like 15, 20 years at the top level of winning stuff. He hasn't. He's been at Mold and Cardiff, so he's behind the 8 ball straight away.
But what if he was a manager of like Everton or Newcastle? Obviously not Newcastle, you know, when they start spending their money, but like, you know, someone mid-table like Villa or someone like that.
He'd have been gone by now.
Do you think he'd do well, Ollie? Do you think Ollie would do well at this club?
No, I think Ollie's basically the Man United version of Frank Lampard at Chelsea. He's done well with the players that he's had. He's taken them, he's got them through almost like a transitional period because of the styles of, as Rod said, Van Gaal and Mourinho. But they look like they're only playing at 60, 70%. There looks that, especially with the ability of these players, there looks like there's that little bit more and he's not quite tapping into them. And if he was at a sort of a mid-table club, I think he'd probably have the same amount of time. But even then, like Everton chop and change their managers after about 2 years. If he went to a West Ham, unless he'd done what David Moyes has done, like second time round, I think he'd struggle. I think he might struggle there.
No, he's been there 2.5 years now. He's got this year. He needs to do something this year. If he doesn't, you know, in his own words, when he's at Mold, when Mourinho comes second, you know, Manchester, all right, it's great coming second and winning the Europa League, but Manchester United to be first and being the Champions League. They were his own words. And, you know, he's been there 3 years, he's been given over £400 million. So, in right, he should say, you know what, I'm going to step away, but he's not going to do that. So, someone needs to think. If it gets to that, hopefully, it doesn't. But, you know, we're all realists and we can see down the line. We've been in the game for a long time. And you just know, even though you don't want to admit it.
Because, like,
do you think winning something saves his job, though?
Depends what he wins, sides. You know, if he wins, say he wins the Champions League, which you can't see at the minute, but it's a long way away. You know, I don't think we're going to win the league. There's no chance. So,
with the
Champions League
respite,
possibly.
Because, like, it comes every now and then. It crops up in the news, and it's come up again recently. Like the coach at United, Kieran McKenna, like players apparently. Like the whispers drop out that they're not happy with the training sessions, and
the players are the coaches are joining in the training sessions.
Yeah,
so how can
technical director Darren Fletcher.
How many technical directors you see with training kits on training with the players? It's just a joke.
Yeah, man.
It's things like that, and that comes from the top. So he doesn't help himself.
That's
like
one of the reasons why Zola struggled as a manager, because he used to take part in the training sessions and show the players up. And like
that's what with the ball.
I know it's.
You very rarely see it anymore. I remember Dwight York doing it with Graham Souness, so Graham Souness kicked him up in the air and put him out for like 3 months. So it doesn't happen as much now. But
the ball was
this is the biggest club. This is the
teams.
biggest club in the world. It shouldn't be stuff like this. Shouldn't be happening. What, you short of players? Go and get one from the youth or the 23s. There's plenty out there.
United should never be short of players, though, should they? Really? Let's be fair. You know, if they can't put 11v11 v11.
I think the pictures come out, Ty, when it was international week. But even so,
yeah. Because the one thing I will actually praise United for in terms of the under-23s is they've signed Paul McShane as a player coach purely for the under-23s, so that the youngsters have an older head around them to sort of for elements of game management. And it's almost sort of slowly veering back to old school reserve football. So it's helping the youngsters.
That's happening. That's happening in a few other clubs as well. Yeah. I know Brighton have done it, and then a few other clubs have done it. What they normally do is they normally bring somebody in who's been at that club, come through that system, so that they give the lads bit of an insight into how they made it, and obviously it gives the older player, you know, a little bit more time on the pitch, but it also gives them a bit of time for coaching as well, which is good.
You know, you're saying about this, Steve, sorry, Steve, you're saying about the FA Cup. Van Gaal won the FA Cup. The next day, he fired it.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's been there for 3 years. I do really think he needs to be going right to the end with the league and winning something. Or it's just, you know, thanks, but, you know, it's now these players are getting, especially Ronaldo and some other players. You need to strike now where you've got these players.
Rod, okay, without being, what's the word, a bit passive-aggressive with this question, do you think that Ferguson being around is a problem? And hear me out on this one, because he brought in David Moyes and that went to shit. He didn't want Van Gaal. Van Gaal came in and won the FA Cup. He didn't want Mourinho. Mourinho came in and he won 2 trophies. Mourinho left, and then he decided to bring in Solskjaer. And right now, the club doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
Oh, it's the whole players or ex-players manager doesn't help at all. They've all got a say. Well, some of them obviously are his mates, that they won't throw him under the bus, and rightly so. But you know, the gaffer would have been the manager would have been mortified seeing that video come out when he was talking to Khabib and he's saying you should be playing your best players when left Ronaldo out. Well, stuff like that, but it just doesn't help, yeah. But you know, you can't be thinking of the same thing that Alex Ferguson did. Alex Ferguson had a much better team squad than you did, and he'd earned the right to do that. He hasn't yet. He's got to play his best team.
No, I agree. Look, there've been people on social media saying, "Oh, well, you know what? Ferguson was given 4 years, and then he won the FA Cup."
Different time start. Pretty sure Ferguson was given 400 million back then.
No. Right. Also, but Ferguson won the Cup Winners' Cup with Aberdeen, for crying out loud. He won.
This is what I'm saying with Klopp, and they've got a history. Ferguson had a history. He dominated Scotland football. That's unheard of now, unless it's Celtic or Rangers. Aberdeen dominated and really did well in Europe. And he comes to United. Yes, he struggled, but you could see what he was doing behind the scenes, and you reap the rewards with the young kids that you see coming through. That was through him, Brian Kidd, and all the others doing the hard work, going to the schools in the late 80s, early 90s.
So, questions to 3 you then. How long has Ollie got, do you reckon?
He's got to the end of the year. Yeah, when Van Gaal was in, when Moyes was in, even Mourinho, don't want these managers to be sacked. This is Manchester United. We don't sack our managers like Chelsea or Watford. But 3 years is enough time to get a squad together, and he has, and to be, especially when you come second, the next, every year's got better. Well, he's got to get better than last year, and that was second, and he didn't win anything.
Simon, Liverpool next, I think, for United, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Sunday.
Is that it for him if they lose?
No. I think Rod's right. I think he'll have until the end. I think they'll pull a mad signing out of somewhere, I'd imagine, in January for him, and then everyone will look at United and think, oh no, they'll go close again. But then they'll come back crashing down to earth again. After they'll end up getting beat by Burnley or someone like that, and then everyone will be like, should have spent another 200 million in January just to get a squad together. It would just be something silly. So he'll have until the end of the season, and then I think they'll review it straight after that.
I think there's going to be an exodus as well. Might be an exodus in January with this Newcastle as well. There's some players from United that they can pick off who are not playing and not happy. Lingard, Van der Beek, Mata could be one.
I think Martial might be one.
Martial.
Okay.
And that releases funds to get a midfielder in. I know we don't like to do it in January. It's not ideal, but if there's one there.
Do you think if the board don't sanction a big signing or a midfielder that's key to this team in January, do you think that's writing on the wall for Ollie? Because they've gone, do you know what? We'll rather start afresh. Because even like Pogba's contract renewal, now, look, I know Pogba gets, slated and debated about whether he cares or not, but losing a Paul Pogba on a potential free transfer, is that an indictment of the club or is that an indictment on the manager? How will the board try and spin that? Because if he's announced that he's leaving in January, and all of a sudden Martial goes off to Newcastle, for example.
I think with Pogba and his age, it's been cute, and in the last 2 or 3 years they've been in and out of the press. Well, his agent has, so yeah, he's off at the end of the year. He ain't staying in, so
don't blame him, to be honest.
No, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Bigger players than Paul Pogba left Manchester United. And he's not been a world beater for us, so
no, and that might be an opportunity for Van der Beek, because I personally think they bought Van der Beek in to replace Pogba's role in the centre of midfield
Steve, you've seen Van der Beek now, right?
He's a shell of a player.
I know, but even at his pomp, will he get in a top Manchester United side? I don't understand that signing whatsoever. It doesn't.
I think that was a panic buy because they thought Pogba was off, and then Pogba's done like a last minute U-turn. They've like, right, we've kind of got a backup for Pogba that we're not really going to use because we don't want to drop Pogba at any chance. And when he's come on, he hasn't looked effective. He hasn't looked the player that he.
But he's a number 10. For me, you play Fernandes in front of him, Lingard in front of him, Mata in front of him before Van der Beek gets a game. You just paid 40 million for him.
Worrying when you say Mata as well, considering Mata's age.
No, but he's rather him. He's better on the boys.
Yeah, no.
You're scoring a goal.
It's just a worry. And unless they tried to convert him into a number 4 to play out from the back, but almost like a Carrick-esque.
Yeah, he's not got enough pace on it. He's not quick enough. He doesn't seem quick at all.
Van der Beek you're talking about here, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you saw him against West Ham. When he's getting pressed, he shits himself.
Yeah.
I can't. You know, when he comes in, it's so difficult when you've been out so long and you come into a game and to perform. It's so difficult, especially at Manchester United. This is why it's so hard at Manchester United. If you get a chance, you've got to take it. But it's difficult because you've not been playing for 3 months. I know you've been training, but it's totally different to being match fit and coming in and you want to do well and it just doesn't work out because you're not match fit, you're not up to it. And so I do feel for him in that aspect.
But this is where, like, in the summer, you get rid of Pogba leaves, you probably bring in somebody like a Declan Rice. So then that's a nice one, just sort of transition. There's your sort of sitting midfield player, allow Fernandes to go and do his stuff. So that's a nice, easy transition, I think, that one. So
do you think United can get Rice? Because if Man City wanted him as well.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest, I think Man City will end up going for Calvin Phillips because I think Calvin Phillips is a better
player.
Yeah, and I think he's one of these players. I think that if he goes to City, he's a sort of long-term replacement for Fernandinho.
Yeah.
As much as they've got Rodri in there and whatever, I think if he went to United, I think he'd just be sort of caught up in not doing a great deal. And I think if Declan Rice goes to United, I think that's a big step up for him. And I think it's a really good club for him to be at. And I think he can drag that midfield and have that big role in there. Whereas I think, you know, Calvin Phillips will go to City and I think he'll go on and do really good things, I think.
Oh, right. We've got 10 minutes. Let's try and wrap up with a few quick fire games here, right? Simon, Chelsea, 1-0 victory at Brentford. It wasn't easy. And it's not the first time this season that we're going to say, where would Chelsea be without that goalkeeper? Because he kept them in the game against Villa, even though they won 3-0, and he kept them in this game. Big 6 points there.
Brilliant he is. I actually really like him. To be honest, I hadn't heard of him, to be fair, before he came in. And I was a little bit sceptical because, you know, Kepa's obviously not been great for Chelsea, but listen, he's some goalkeeper and he comes. And the one good thing about good goalkeepers is, you know, Rod will tell you about, you know, the Schmeichels and the Van der Sars of this world at United, that when they don't have a lot to do, it's that one time when they do have something to do, the concentration's right and they pull off something for your team, if it is in the, you know, 80th, 90th minute and to win 1-0, whatever. And he seems to be, you know, coming up trumps.
So do you see Chelsea as serious title contenders with him between the sticks? Because if it was Kepa, I think it would be a different story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they need to get the balance right with, you know, the goalkeeper's great. Yeah, they seem to be chopping and changing a couple of the defenders at the minute. I think Rudiger's been outstanding. And they need to get the balance right with Lukaku. Apparently, he's a little bit unhappy with the amount of games that he's played and he's getting a little bit tired and stuff like that. Which we said earlier, you know, how can you be tired when you're playing well or you're scoring goals or whatever? But apparently he's a little bit unhappy, and so they need to get that balance right.
Absolutely. Steve, Patrick Vera returns to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta walks right into his armpit at the beginning of the game, which is a sign of things to come, really. Both of Palace's goals came from midfield mistakes from Lokonga and Partey. But I think you breathe a sigh of relief at full time, no?
Yeah. I know some Arsenal fans got criticised for celebrating an equaliser, but just to make sure we didn't.
I know, but how can you get criticised for celebrating an equaliser? You prevented the defeat. What's going on here?
Don't. And look, Arsenal fans love to stir up controversy for the sake of it on Twitter.
No.
No, not us. Never monetize off it. Did I say that out loud? Sorry. I think the biggest thing that's come away from that game is what you can see Patrick Vieira has done in 3 months at Palace and what Arteta has struggled to do at Arsenal in 2 years. Now, don't get me wrong, because you hear the murmurs that Arsenal actually had a very toxic atmosphere in the first team of players not pulling their weight, and Arteta's had to be a bit of a disciplinarian, kicking out some of the players that he didn't want, isolating them because he wants them to all sing from the same hymn sheet. But I think it does go to show, and Simon, you've said this as well, like Vieira's been about a bit. He's coached at other teams. He's learned from experiences. He's learned from his mistakes, and he's gone into Palace and he's getting them playing attacking, flowing football. He's not afraid to make substitutions, like to change the game, and it's had a positive effect. They've been unlucky with the results, but you ask any Palace fan, they're absolutely chuffed with what they're seeing now, because they're playing a lot more attacking football. They're playing with a different style, more on the front foot. And Palace have recently got a Cat 1 academy, and they've got a lot of youngsters coming through. And just saying, before we started recording, I'm on my UEFA B at the minute. There was a former Palace analyst there. Got it out. Analyst, yep. But I was chatting to him and he said, yeah, the academy, what they've got coming through in the pipelines, there's at least 4 or 5, 10, 50, 30 million pound players. Like Wan-Bissaka was just one on like a conveyor belt. And it shows that Palace have done the long-term planning, and they will reap the benefits as the season go on. Arsenal still look lost. Arteta has this, unless he's playing his strongest 11, it's not going to work. And we haven't got the depth to put in the Sambas quite yet. He looks good, but he's made an absolute terrible error. And if you're going to try and foul, at least take his leg out. Don't half-arse your hand out. Proper rugby tackling or something. Just take the yellow card.
This is why you're no longer coaching a football club.
Yeah, I'm now going into rugby. Controversial player here. Arsenal miss Xhaka. Whether he's crap on the ball defensively or anything like that, he's one of the best players for finding the ball into the half space, into the final third, to break defenses. And I think Arsenal were trying to click in the final third. Like, we're starting to look a bit more threatening, especially with Tierney getting the chance to do the overlaps. But yeah, without him, the team does look weak. And it's not to say because Xhaka's missing. I think it's because one player from Arteta's strongest 11's missing. The whole team struggles.
Well, on the positive note,
we didn't
Aubameyang scored and Lacazette scored. And you've been waiting for them to score for God knows how long. So I'm not even joking. Like,
No, it's true. I think Lacazette will be gone this summer, if not in January. I think Aubameyang might be gone in the summer. I think they are going to look for a new striker, probably Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Sorry, Rod.
20 goals, mate. Don't worry about that.
That donkey is not scoring 20 goals.
Just had to throw it out there, just waiting for him.
But Steve, you're 6 unbeaten. That's got to count for something, surely.
Yeah, I think Arsenal are on a slow upward trend. I think it's just every time they don't get a win, it's going to be highlighted even more. And I do think it does show that the squad is sort of lacking that depth of how to play when 1 or 2 players are missing. I genuinely fear if Ben White gets injured, because I don't want to see Pablo Mari play there.
What did you make of his comments about not watching football when he goes home and not? I don't see a problem with that. What
if and Simon and Rod, feel free to interject it, but if you spend every sort of waking out of your childhood, of your adolescence, going through football, having to play it every day to the point of where it's almost making you bored of it, you've fallen out with love of it, are you really going to do?
Depends what he's doing. Is he playing golf or is he knitting like Tom Daly?
Maybe he's got a train set. Well, you've got a train set in his loft.
There you go. I like it's hobby.
But
Train
like,
set.
like I use the analogy of an everyday person. Like I sit on my laptop every day doing bloody Excels. The last thing I'm going to do when I go home is research about what new formulas I can do for work. But I want to switch off from it.
Yeah, I totally understand as well.
Yeah, but then I know I've played with and Rod, you probably have seen and heard a lot of it as well. But people who hate football, even though they've played it at top level, they hate the game. And like for me, someone who loves the game, regardless whether I was playing or coming home and watching Super Sunday or Monday Night Football, like I'd watch all of it. So to hear people say that they hated it and they sort of made it to a much higher club or whatever than I did, I was just a little bit like baffled by it. But listen, it's each their own. We can't all be the same.
Yeah, and fair play to him for being open and honest with it, and the fact that everyone's giving him shit for it.
It was the Vieira thing as well, where he goes, I don't remember too much about Vieira, and people go, oh, how can you know Vieira? Like, he was 7 years old when Vieira was at his peak.
I tell you what, like in the same way, I can never talk about Maradona, how he played, because I was never old enough to watch him in his prime. I can't expect players who are now sort of early 20s to go, well, I remember Patrick Vieira when I was 4. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you don't understand. You weren't there to experience it. You didn't watch it. So fair play to him for his open honesty.
Lovely. And Rod, let's wrap it up with this one right here. Newcastle, they got new owners, but it's the same old story, isn't it? They lost 3-2 to Spurs. But I'll tell you what, I've got to give Harry Kane some credit, because even though I took him out of my dream team, like an idiot that I am, he did the whole play to the whistle thing, didn't he? Put the ball in the back of the net. Next thing you know, VAR, it's a goal. Well done, Harry Kane.
That's why you learn as a kid, play to the whistle. Yeah, he's a top goal scorer. He's always going to get goals with Newcastle.
It started so well, didn't it?
Yeah,
after like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was always going to start well, but just didn't end well. But it's going to be a good time for them. They'll still be buzzing up there. It's not going to change overnight, but as soon as January comes, they'll get 2 or 3 or maybe possibly more quality players in, and they'll be fine. But yeah, everyone just wants Steve Bruce out now. It's unfortunate because he's a good bloke and he's a Geordie. But yeah, when new owners come in, the writing's on the wall. Whoever's in charge, who comes, don't know. Looking at the results, right?
That would be interesting, the Newcastle one, to see how that domino effect affects the Man Cities, the Uniteds, the Liverpools, the Chelseas of this world, because they're going to go out and spend. They might not do it straight away in January, but like in the summer, they'll go out and spend however much, and it will probably put a couple of clubs' nose out of place.
Yeah, well, like we was talking last week, so the top players are not going to go there just quite yet. They'll be like the Harry Kanes, the Raheem Sterlings. I'm going to go there for not to be winning straight away. It's going to be like 3 or 4 years. So you're going to get quality players, but I don't think you may get one out of the blue, but you're not going to get top-notch quality players.
Like City did. They went for like Elano first, didn't they? And then a couple of others. And
Robinho, Adebayor.
They went bang. There you go. Have that and started.
You get a couple of you may get a couple of gems out there like Vincent Kompany.
Yeah.
David Silva. Do
you think it depends on who the manager's going to be? Because there's talk of Eddie Howe. And look, I know, like me and but all seriousness, like it depends on who.
Rob nearly fell off his chair.
There's an ongoing thing with Rod and I. He loves Eddie Howe. I don't get it.
No, he's not going to get the Newcastle job, is he?
He's one of the favourites at the minute.
Yeah, that's looking at Wayne Rooney. You'd have a look at Wayne Rooney, the way he's going about Derby. But I think that might be a bit too soon. But
nah, mate, you need padded walls now. You don't need some.
you never know. He's a big name, and he's doing really well at Derby, even though the crap that they're going through. He's a novice manager, and he's dealing with it, and he's still getting results. It's not easy. That still, it's not easy.
Give him the United job then.
We've just been talking about experienced managers in elite jobs, and you're asking give Wayne Rooney a job. You don't know that. And maybe 5-6 years down the line, because look at Steven Gerrard. He's destined for Liverpool. Destined.
Gerrard done the right thing by going to Scotland anyway.
He could end up in Newcastle, but I don't think he will because he's close to Steve Bruce.
Yeah, but they were saying about Conte, weren't they? Leaving and going to
Conte. See, Mourinho's already started pissing his players off, so he might be off the same.
No, not Mourinho. After what, 3 months? He just speeds it up at every club now.
You never know. He's thrown his players under the bus already. Saying he'd seen his substitutes on the bench and named them. I'm going to put them on. Something along them lines. He was in Italian.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's exactly what you need from your manager, isn't it?
Can we all just agree that the next football manager is going to be pretty entertaining with Newcastle? Because if they are going to spend the amount of money they're talking about, it's going to be.
Well, this always happens though. Whenever a team is taken over by a super rich person, immediately people think they're going to spend hundreds of millions of pounds.
There's super rich and super rich. These could buy Roman Abramovich and City and still have change.
They have more money than all the owners, the rest of the Premier League together.
It's more like 320 billion, and here's one like 25. Only 25 billion.
Yeah. But it's funny because whenever there's a new owner, you kind of got these day trippers turning up, the tourists. So it happened with Chelsea and it happened with Man City. And it's even happening already with Newcastle. I mean, Ant and Dec have never been to Newcastle United, the St. James's Park in their lives. And all of a sudden they're at the game, aren't they?
I always read the comments at the back. I said, I don't know what's more surprising. Ant and Dec are at the ground or Ant and Dec are in the wrong position. They're sat wrong differently. They usually sit in, they sat the wrong way. It's funny.
Right, gentlemen, that's it for another episode. Thank you for all jumping on, Simon. Thank you for jumping on, mate. Hope to have you back on sometime soon. And listen, good luck with finding a new role, man. It's difficult.
Have you ever tried looking at non-league, some big side in non-league?
Yeah, mate. Well, to be fair, I think the one thing that I want to do really is I want to go and learn under somebody. So I don't really, ideally, I don't really want a manager's job right now. I kind of need to go and learn the sort of like hard yards, really. Going in, planning session day by day, week by week, game by game, that sort of thing as well, and just learning that side. And to be honest, it doesn't even need to be in a first team. I could go 23s, academies, that sort of thing as well. But ultimately, it's just about keeping your name out there and seeing if something happens.
Yeah, hopefully something turns up for you.
Yeah, be United soon.
Why not?
Set piece coach. Set piece coach.
Let's not talk about those things.
There's
right now.
Enough of them about. Have you ever heard anything like that side? Set piece coach.
No, the first thing I heard about that was when Liverpool took the throwing coach from Michelin. Yeah, that was the first one I heard about that. But that's, to be honest, I think coaching is going to go down a very similar route. Maybe not to that extent, but
I think it was just like a striker coach. I've heard of, but like a
striker coach, defensive coach. Sort of going in the way of like the NFL where they have like special teams and all that. Your defensive and offensive coaches. I think it then allows the manager to manage the whole team and do what he needs to do. Whereas if you have specific area coaching, I think it then gives accountability to that coach and he has his jobs on the line straight away.
Yeah. 20 years, this will be head coach with his headset on. Sister will be in the stand.
The ball boys will have a coach as well.
I do agree with him. It is going that way.
I know a lot of managers who speak to their ball boys.
Yeah, hold the ball for longer.
When oppositions are like in possession, out of possession, winning, losing, that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Most clubs do that. Speak to the ball boys before. They all get schooled. Yeah. Because most of them are local lads as well, so they all support the club. Yeah. So do whatever you can tell them, do whatever you want to do.
You're going to love this one, Rod. A few weeks ago in Cyprus, there was two teams that were playing each other, and the home team were winning 1-0 with like a couple minutes to go, and the ball went out for a throw-in, and three ball boys threw the balls on the pitch. 3 balls on the pitch. Just so I can kill time. It's brilliant. Steve.
Yes.
Do you want to promote any social media now that you're a
free agent? Other than yours truly, Mr. Mac.
Simon, you're on the Twitter, aren't you, Simon?
I'm on all sorts, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
I will eventually change mine to Fat Luke Shaw.
Oh, for fuck's sake, here he goes again.
You keep telling me to do it.
I don't put the F word there. Thank you very much. I don't discriminate. Rod
James Giggs.
Excellent. That's it for another week. So until next time, take care. Be safe.